Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with my friend Andrew Klavan. Don't cut to him yet. Don't cut to him yet. I need to provide a trigger warning for those of you with sensitive dispositions out there. Andrew's dressed in full-on Nazi fascist black and red to the core. He's looking like a bad A. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our friend Andrew.
Run to your safe rooms, children.
Those safe rooms in your mind. You pathetic weaklings. You make me sick. You do nothing, you are nothing, you're worthless and weak. Greatest monologue in the history of mankind is the beginning of the Twisted Sister. Twisted Sister. That's a story for another time. Okay, Drew, your question today comes from our PJTV producers. So we're in trouble. Yeah. And the question is, should prostitution be legal? Yeah. I knew those swine would ask that question. They've been wanting this question for 4 years now.
They want to know if it should be legal in this office.
That's right.
I know, they're very
And you and I exempted, of course.
Right.
Of course we're prostitutes. We're just a couple of whores doing this show.
That's what our producers are thinking about. Well, you know, the usual reaction to this question, you get two reactions. One is the moral one, you know, like absolutely not, and the other is the libertarian one. Well, of course, it's all. But it actually is a slightly more vexed question than that, because no matter what they say about prostitution and all the stuff about, oh, they're sex workers and it's just another profession, it's a degraded profession, and the people who work in it are usually very, very, very troubled women. One of the things that has stuck with me from researching, I wrote a book called Damnation Street, some of which took place in the Nevada prostitution world. And one of the things that really stuck with me from researching that book was that in Nevada, where prostitution is legal, where all these great regulations are in place to make sure sex is safe and the women are protected, the women still have personal pimps who beat them up and take their money. Almost to a one, the legal prostitutes still on the side keep their pimp who beats them up and takes their money.
So it's a psychological need. It's part of the same psychological problem that drove them into the business.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So a woman who is a prostitute is probably in some kind of mental trouble, and the guy who uses her is taking advantage of that. It's not a straightforward transaction, because human beings are not machines. So that's the reason. Having said all that, I still come down on the libertarian side of this.
Me too.
And the reason is that the harm that they're doing to themselves. They're doing it of their own free will. It's not the government's business. You know, we have to always remember what Frederick Bastiat said. Frederick Bastiat said that socialists always accuse us of not wanting things to be done if we don't want the government to do them. Just because you might think that prostitution is wrong or damaging or anything like that does not mean that the government has the right to come in and stop it. I think that to regulate prostitution decreases the amount of human misery in the world, and to not make it illegal decreases the amount of human misery. There's simply no reason a woman who is a prostitute should be arrested for it if it's properly regulated, and no reason why a man who takes advantage of that service should be arrested for it. It may be wrong, it may be damaging to both of them, but it shouldn't be illegal.
Wow, that's a pretty round the block coverage.
Yeah,
it's pretty much.
It's a more vexed question than people
It's
think.
obviously true that, you know, some great deal of similarities to the porn industry. Anybody in the sex trade, the number of porn star suicides is simply it's probably more dangerous than being a crab fisherman in Alaska, for God's sakes. I mean, it's just horrific amount of self-destruction there. Most cases, the prostitution trade, as you say, didn't. In virtually all cases, at least in America, the actual trade didn't cause the damage. That wasn't that these women were perfectly healthy women who were just thrown in a van, kidnapped to become prostitutes. That happens in other places in the world, don't get me wrong, but here in America, it's usually people that have suffered some tremendous traumatic childhood abuse who then fall into prostitution. And so it's not even that the vice is causing the damage that got them into the vice in the first place. That seems to be the case in most of the cases. I kind of agree with you too. It is the making it illegal and the prosecutions and the fact that it is driven underground, the fact that they can't call the police, is actually making their terrible lives worse, because they, you know, the problem with this particular example is, unlike, you know, there's a lot of victimless crimes like, you know, drugs and all this libertarian argument. Victimless crimes. You're right. With prostitution, you're talking about people. They're the product, and they're suffering a great deal in a lot of cases. So I'm in favor of the legalization of it for a number of reasons. Number one, there's the philosophical highfalutin up in the clouds argument. I don't have the right to tell anybody else what to do, which is a damn good argument.
Right.
But there's also the fact that since it is criminalized, it gives people who are in this life no options other than, as you said a minute ago, a pimp. Right? They've got nothing else. It'd be nice to think that they could, at the very least, have the option to call the police, have the option to you know, make a complaint, to press charges.
Right, of course.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, all of these things. And I think that in itself is enough of a net gain in terms of the overall happiness of the people involved with this to make it worth doing.
Yeah, that and the regulation of safety and using condoms and all that stuff. The one thing I would like to think might happen sometime is that when HBO puts on a show like Cat House that glorifies and romanticizes the profession, pretends to be a realistic show, but actually shows prostitutes having a wonderful, wonderful time, I kind of wish producers would just think about that for a minute. Just think about, like, you know, maybe they have a daughter, you know, maybe they have a son, you know, maybe they have somebody at home who shouldn't be watching a show like that because it's such a lie. It might be nice if people thought about that from time to time. I know it's a lot, you know, it's a subject to joke about, I get it, but I also think it would be nice if people took a little bit of responsibility for the stuff they put out there. You know?
Yeah, every now and then, like, you'll see a show like Taxi Cab Confessions or something that deal with the real world out there on the streets especially, and it's... Man, it's not. It
ain't so funny.
No.
Yeah.
I should have recused myself from this question, actually, when I think about those days back in Vegas. The things that I saw that can't be unseen.
I know. I don't even want to think about it.
Some of these women are just... So I have time for... I don't mean to mock these people. It's actually not funny. Let us know what questions you'd like answered below. For Andrew Klavan and PJTV, I'm Bill Whittle. Thanks for watching.